I won't tolerate having ailing individuals in my household, particularly if they emit a somber aura. When my mother received the terminal cancer diagnosis, she was essentially driven away from our home. In her final moments, it was only her daughters who stood by her side. Strikingly different was the scenario when our father faced a cancer diagnosis. He willingly shifted the responsibility of his care onto others. Must I endure this treatment silently? It's high time to impart a lesson to that fool. My name is Bonnie, a 21-year-old junior at a local public university. I have a younger sister, Susan, currently in college. We make up a family of 4 with our father and mother. Despite this seemingly conventional setup, my sister and I harbored resentment towards our father. He consistently belittled our mother, a dedicated homemaker, and displayed reluctance to invest time or money in family matters. Our mother, always engaged in what's now termed solo parenting, never revealed her exhaustion, presenting a constant, cheerful facade. We, her daughters, cherished her deeply and grew to despise our father, who failed to acknowledge her contributions. 2 years ago, when my sister entered college, our mother fell seriously ill, leading to her hospitalization. As the family gathered in the hospital, the doctor delivered the grim news: cancer with about 6 months left. It was revealed that our mother hadn't undergone regular health checkups. Dismissing any prior concern, our father appeared submissive in front of the doctor. However, his true colors emerged once the doctor left the room. He voiced concerns about who would take care of the house if our mother succumbed to cancer, conveniently forgetting his opposition to her health checkups. Without visiting our ailing mother, he frequented drinking sessions, leaving us bewildered. Our anger intensified when he insinuated that we, his daughters, should take over the housework, implying our mother's incompetence. As our mother was discharged, we tried to alleviate her burden by assisting with chores, but our efforts were met with complaints from our father. He found her presence bothersome, and instead of expressing concern, he criticized her lack of housework. When I suggested preparing for our mother's home care, my father predictably opposed, deeming it a waste of money. He callously remarked that having a dying person at home is depressing, showing no empathy for our mother's condition. I couldn't fathom the harshness of his words and found myself in tears, questioning how he could disregard our mother, an integral part of our family. Are you seriously going to abandon her just because she's sick and unable to do housework anymore? That's just wrong. Upon hearing these words, my sister, who was also listening, started crying, expressing how cruel it was. Poor Mom, she lamented. Annoyed, our father declared, I'm going out for a drink, but remember, I won't allow home care before leaving. Once our father departed, our mother emerged from the back room, apologizing for making us feel bad. She assured us that she would be fine and decided to go to a palliative care center with her savings. Uncle suggested it. It's hard for you and Susan to take care of me all being students. You've had a hard time. Thank you, she said with a smile, causing my sister and me to cry once again. In the following days, we visited our mother in the palliative care center daily. However, our father never came to visit. Instead, he insisted, do your chores properly. Who do you think is allowing you to live and attend college? Even after being informed of our mother's passing by the doctor, I was in shock. It wasn't until my sister reminded me, oh, we have to do the wake and funeral, right? That reality sank in. I managed to contact our mother's relatives to handle the arrangements. You two, Bonnie and Susan, had it tough. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for her passing. Leave the rest to me, reassured Uncle, our mother's brother, who had always been reliable. Despite the support from Uncle, we couldn't reach our father on the phone. Finally arriving at the hospital 8 hours after our mother's death, our father, reeking of alcohol, sat down heavily, callously remarking, finally kicked the bucket, huh? Good riddance to the money eater, and laughing heartily. My sister and I looked on in disbelief. Thanks to Uncle, the wake and funeral proceeded smoothly, as our father had not prepared anything. But at the funeral, he suddenly adopted the role of a loving husband. Thank you all for coming today for my wife. My caregiving hardships are nothing compared to her suffering. Yes, truly yes. I visited her every day. I considered home care. But it was her wish to spend her final days in a palliative care ward under professional care. Yes, thank you. I believe she would be happy. My father proclaimed to the mourners. Hearing him speak like this, my sister lunged at him in anger. Wait, Susan, it's Mom's funeral. Don't cause a scene. It would upset her, I cautioned. You're right, but it's so frustrating. He says such things when Mom died. I'm angry too, and I can't forgive him for saying such things, Susan expressed. We looked down, trying hard to suppress our anger. Uncle, our mother's brother, approached us and said, Bonnie, Susan, I heard everything. I know it's hard, but I understand everything. It's okay. Call me if you need anything. Uncle's words gave us some comfort, allowing us to focus on bidding farewell to our mother that day. Afterward, my sister and I sorted through Mother's belongings, attempting to avoid our father as much as possible. The day after the memorial service, our father brought home a flamboyantly dressed woman in her 30s, evidently from the nightlife industry. With a saccharine voice, she greeted us, while our father, with his arm around her, declared, She's my girlfriend. We're going to live together from now on. You girls should get along with her. Stunned, we protested. Wait, what are you talking about? You're bringing another woman home just after Mom passed away. We can't live with her, no way. Who do you think you are? This is my house. If you don't like it, leave. I'll still pay for your tuition, but don't involve yourselves with me anymore. I have my own life to live. I can't stand this anymore, I declared, supporting my crying sister. I returned to our room, took out my smartphone, and dialed Uncle's number. What? He's brought in a new woman now. That man is the scum of the earth. Come to my place. You can come right now. Pack up your things and come over. We swiftly packed our essentials into a suitcase and hailed a taxi ordered through our phones. From the living room, we could hear the high-pitched laughter of Father's girlfriend. You did well to come. It must have been tough. Uncle greeted us warmly upon our arrival. I felt so relieved that I almost cried. You must have had a hard time on such a cold day. Would you like some milk tea? You both should commute to college from here. It's not too far. Thank you so much. We will help out as much as we can. Life at Uncle's house was peaceful, and my sister and I, often reminiscing about our mother, found ourselves thinking less and less about our father. Then one day, I received a call on my phone. Hello, Bonnie, long time no see. Actually, your father is in the final stages of a disease and needs care. Honestly, it's tough for me alone, and I have my own job. The voice on the other end said, he said to ask Bonnie and Susan for help. You're worried about your dad, right? We were told by our father not to involve ourselves with him anymore. I ended the call shortly, but the girlfriend kept calling daily after that. Bonnie, he's angry, saying have they forgotten the favor of being supported by me. Unable to bear it, I consulted with Uncle. That fool, he really is beyond redemption. It's about time to tell him the truth. Uncle sighed as he spoke. One Sunday, my sister, Uncle, and I went to my father's house. Welcome back, Bonnie and Susan. You must be worried about your dad. After all, you're family. You're coming back to this house, right? Thanks in advance for taking care of him. Of course, it's only natural for children to take care of their sick parents. By the way, I didn't mention it, but I quit my job last month. I can't work with this body, so I can't pay for your college anymore. Quit college and work while taking care of me. What are you saying? No way. We are not your slaves. What the hell are you saying? It's only natural for children to take care of their sick parents, despite not doing anything for his sick wife. With hands trembling in anger, I replied, we're cutting ties as family. We'll manage our tuition ourselves. Living here and taking care of you is impossible. What do you think? That's allowed? Yeah, it's thanks to your father that you've been able to live in this house all this time, isn't it? Uncle quietly spoke. The one who isn't allowed here is you. How long do you plan to stay in this house? It's time to tell the truth. I followed up on what Uncle said. Huh? What do you mean? My father asked. This land and house were inherited by the girl's mother from our father, and the ownership was in their mother's name. So after she died, it became mine. I'm her husband. My father raised his voice. That's why you're a fool. My father's face turned red at my uncle's words. My father had always had a complex about my uncle, who was a shrewd man. So it was even worse. It's ridiculous to think that a deceased wife's property automatically becomes her husband's. Uncle spoke dismissively. My sister had prepared a will and entrusted it to a lawyer. This house is now in Bonnie's name. You two have no right to live here, Uncle continued sharply. You always mocked my sister, calling her a money-eating housewife. But did you actually contribute properly to the household expenses? There were times you didn't because you spent it on drinking. How do you think she managed during those times? Well, I thought she was saving and managing because she was at home, my father replied. You really are a fool. She wouldn't have had enough to manage her savings. She was earning income through investments and managing the household with that income. And you didn't even know, thinking you were the one supporting the household. So that's the situation, Dad. This house is now mine. I'm currently looking for a buyer through a real estate agent. So can you leave? I tried to keep my emotions out of it as I spoke. What? I've quit my job. I have no income. And now if I lose the house too? My father's face, which had been red, now turned pale. All right, I was wrong. I apologize. Let me live in this house. We can be a family again, like before, my father said, looking like a completely different person, head hung low. I finally said what I had wanted to say for so long. No, thank you. I have no attachment to this house without Mom. Having someone on the brink of the afterlife in the house makes it so gloomy, right? My sister nodded vigorously beside me. We won't see you again, Dad, firmly stating that we left the house filled with memories of our mother. Later on, when my sister and I secretly went to get our belongings during Father's absence, a neighbor lady told us, that flashy woman who was living here seems to have left. And my husband saw your father at the hospital wearing shabby pajamas and muttering, I don't have any money to buy anything at the store. Is your father all right? I gave a vague reply to the curious lady and quickly left the scene. But my sister and I later said to each other, it serves him right. Exactly karma. That's the punishment for how he treated our kind mother. Uncle was right. We struck at the right time when it would hurt him the most. Really, it was good to follow Uncle's advice. I remember the day we arrived at Uncle's house. We'll help out as much as we can. You don't need to worry so much. You should know the truth. My sister knew about his mistress and anticipated that if he got the inheritance, he would let his mistress do as she pleased. She intended to divide her assets among us two sisters. She entrusted me with all the legal matters after her death. Then I learned that the house and land were in my name, and stocks and other assets were inherited by my sister. So that means Dad and that woman have no right to live in that house, right? Let's go take it back right away. Wait a minute. As you know, I'm a doctor. When I saw him at my sister's funeral, I had a hunch. He doesn't have long left. Maybe when he's in the same situation, he'll understand her feelings as Uncle intended. We were able to cause significant damage to our father. But sister, are you really okay with selling the house? It has our memories with Mom, and it's where we grew up. Yes, I was conflicted, but I didn't want to leave the option of home care for Dad. And it's scary that his mistress knows about the house. For me now, home is where I can be with you. While talking, my sister and I entered an apartment building in front of the station. This apartment is owned by Uncle, and he's letting us stay here for free. Uncle owns several apartments in this area. I remember when Uncle suggested that we live in this apartment. We can't trouble you any further, Uncle. We tried to decline his offer, but he insisted. Let me do at least this much. I can't accept money from you students. My wife and I don't have children, so we think of you as our own. It would make us happy if you rely on us. Thank you so much. Remembering the hardships we endured because of my father, I felt a surge of emotion. I really wanted to pay for your tuition too. Are you sure you want to pay for it yourselves? Uncle asked. Yes, after selling the house and stocks Mom left us, we have enough to cover the rest of our tuition. It's really thanks to Mom. My sister's eyes also welled up with tears. We have to stay positive to reassure my mother in heaven. My sister and I nodded to each other. Entering the apartment, I recalled this conversation with my sister. As we entered, we saw a photo of our mother. Her smile seemed to say, this was the right choice.